Hello everyone, and welcome to The Man Behind the Curtain. I'm Randy Young, the guy in the red shoes, and I've been in the video production business my entire career, and it's taken me around the world a few times. But more importantly, I've had the opportunity to work with some of the most creative people in television, and boy do they have stories to tell about the business and the people who make it happen. We've always been told, ignore the man behind the curtain, but you can talk to me. Okay, let's get started. Today I'm sitting here with a man who is a creator, an actor, an improv player, very good one. He's a corporate meeting host and an MC. And he's the author of a wonderful book titled The Playmaker Mindset, a radically fun way to build a culture of teamwork and instant innovation. Correct?
That's it, yeah.
His name is Jeff Rogers. Hi, Jeff.
Hey, Randy.
How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me in.
I'm thrilled that you're here. I read your book this week.
I know. You said I'm very impressed. Usually it's a glancing notice.
Well, I'm sure you've got millions of fans out there of
yes.
penmanship.
Yeah.
It's when I read through it, and I actually listened to it on Audible, which seems to be the way I do all my books these days.
There's something to it. I mean, there's a reason it's as popular as it is. I do a lot of books like that myself.
Yeah. But it sounded to me like it's your story of going through how to improv.
It was absolutely meant to be that type of business fiction, right? Mm-hmm. The idea of a character who is brand new to this and can go through the process of learning it, but also understand the process of how to use it as well for an actionable outcome.
Right.
And it does mirror, to a certain extent, my own sort of journey into improv, which was growing up. I grew up in the area, in Chicagoland area, in a big family, and so big Irish family. You didn't eat unless you spoke up, so you learned how to
right.
talk very early on. I had, there were 11 kids in my family.
11 kids?
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm not kidding when I say.
Where are you in the hierarchy?
Well, I'm 10 of 11.
Oh, man.
So by the time the food came around to that end of the table, there wasn't a lot left to begin with.
So you had to eat fast to get seconds.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, there weren't seconds. But it was a great environment, honestly, because everybody was, and still is, very smart, very fast on their feet, have great senses of humor. My parents had great senses of humor, but they like to have good conversation as well. So, I mean, this idea of being able to be witty but conversant in any given topic, from politics to sports to geography to history, that was our table. And in fact, initially we had a rectangular table, right? But I don't know if you remember Beef and Barrel.
No, I don't remember.
So it was a restaurant chain.
Okay.
And my dad, we used to go there because they had a huge table that could fit all of us. It was a big round table, like King Arthur.
Yeah.
And so my dad called the manufacturer, and he literally built our kitchen. We got an addition to the house, which widened our kitchen to fit this 11-foot across round table.
Wow.
Right? 11 foot in diameter. It's massive. It had a lazy Susan that was as big as most families' kitchen table. So it was this, I don't want to say anarchy, because it was controlled anarchy, because
right.
everybody had a chance to talk. Everybody talked to each other, and if there was a conversation going on. So anyway, it became very natural for me to be in front of a large group of people. And so I started doing stand-up comedy when I was 18 years old. So I was sneaking into bars to do comedy,
yeah.
as opposed to have some drinks. And when I was doing that, this woman came up to me who was part of this group who was doing the same open mic nights. And she goes, you're not doing stand-up. Because I would do characters and I would do little stories. And and I go, oh, well, what am I doing? News to me. Yeah. What do you call it?
Right.
She's like, you're doing improv. That's improv. Mm-hmm. You got to go take some classes. And I was like, well, it seems like it's working. Yeah, but you're doing it wrong. You could do it a lot better. So that was Emcee Sedaris, who became very famous in television and film, and
right.
But that's when I started doing improvisation, and so it really was kind of this I don't know anything about this, and I met Josephine Forsberg, who owned Players Workshop, the oldest school of improv in the country. And so the book did mirror a little bit of my kind of coming into it very much unaware of the rules, the process, the thinking behind it, and
well,
the application.
as I was going through it, it was a perfect training manual for how this works.
It really is meant to be that,
Right.
because it's not a difficult process. I mean, improv isn't hard to do. We all do it every day. We all improvise every day. We change our mind, make a new decision, shift, just merging into traffic. Can I merge here, or do I got to wait? I got to go. So we all do it all the time.
But there are rules to it that you define very distinctly.
Yeah, if you want to be very successful at it and be able to do sort of achieve the goals of improvisation, you want to follow the rules, which again are simple to say.
Not so easy to do.
Not as easy up on its feet, but things. The main rules are yes and, right, which is a lot of people think that means. Well, I'll go through them and then I'll go back into them. I'll dive into them a little bit. But yes and, do not deny, listen, and support your partner.
Right.
I mean, those are really it. 4 simple rules for an entire genre of art. If you follow those 4 rules, you're in the 80 to 90 percentile. The tricky thing is actually applying those rules in every interaction that you have with somebody. Mm-hmm. And so yes and, most people have heard of yes and at this point, I think. What a lot of people get wrong about that is, well, I don't want to say yes and agree to everything somebody else is saying. They might say something I disagree with. That's not what yes and is.
No, it's not an argument.
It's not. It's really about the idea that you are accepting that somebody else can have an opinion, whether in agreement or disagreement with your own. They have the right to that.
Right.
And then the and is, how do we meet in the middle? How do we both come together to find a place that we can support each other's different opinions, but be able to build on them initially as it was created for the audience, right? For a scene for the audience.
Tell a story.
Yeah, exactly. That is entertaining and that they paid for, so hopefully a successful one, or entertaining, engaging. It could be dramatic or humorous. And so that as a foundation piece, not so much as I agree with everything you say, I don't have to.
Right.
I agree, you have the right to say it.
Right.
Which is a really interesting distinction, and leads to some really interesting scene work as well. Well, here's the other thing. You take that out of improv and put it into the real world, you've got a really good rule for interacting with others.
Sure.
Right?
It works through all the meetings.
That's exactly
I've seen you do it on stage.
Yeah.
And incorporating the audience or the people that you bring up from the audience. And you get 5 or 6 people up there and you go through the yes and exercise. And it's amazing how quick they catch on to it and how much fun they have doing it.
Right. And that's a big part of the playmaker mindset. And one of the goals that I wanted to try and touch on is that idea of, listen, when we play, we lower the stakes. And when we lower the stakes, we're much more open to experimenting and trying things out and seeing what works, iterating and throwing out stuff that doesn't work. That's no good. I don't have to cling to it because it was my idea. In the business environment, when I do workshops for clients, I try and give them that mindset. It doesn't mean you're not going to eventually throw away some of the ideas. Some of them aren't going to work. Mm-hmm. But you're not going to do that initially. You're not going to edit and say no right from the get-go. You're going to create, you're going to plant all of these seeds. I always use this metaphor. If you're a gardener, you don't plant one seed. Boy, I hope this tomato, we're all counting on this one, right? No, it's not that at all. You plant a bunch of them and then you pick the best ones to use in the salad or whatever you're making. That's the idea with yes and. You want to create the environment, till the soil, fertilize it, make it as rich an environment as possible for everything to succeed, and then pick the very best of the ones that come up. And so doing that again and again creates what Google found out is what makes teams work best: psychological safety. So immediately you can see these parallels between what improv espouses in order to be successful on stage to being successful off stage as well.
You're building a safe environment too. Everybody has to understand that
right
as you start out, that anything that you say is valid.
Yes.
And you have to support whatever other people say, which is what you've just gone through. But it's a safe environment. It's a safe world to play in.
Yeah. Well, imagine how different a workspace would be. I mean, think about when we're on site, right? Mm-hmm. Think about how different that environment is when it's with people that you enjoy working with, that you know have your back.
Right.
Right? As opposed to you don't know anybody and you're having to explain something again and again because you haven't got that shorthand yet or whatever that issue might be.
Listening.
I mean, that's a huge part of it most of the time, right? I've got my goal and I don't feel like I've been heard. And I can't hear a thing you say until I feel like my goal, right? My thing is heard. And then I can let that down and, oh, now what were you saying? So that idea of having each other's back becomes a much bigger issue for people than they realize. And so when I'm in that environment, I've got your back. Literally backstage before an improv show, performers will go up to each other and touch each other on the back. It's I got your back. Because on stage, we're making it all up, real time, right in the moment, right? Mm-hmm. We don't know where it's going to go, but wherever it's going to go, I'm going to be there with you. I had an experience at a corporate event. It was, can I name the client?
Sure, why not? If you're comfortable, I don't mind.
So it was Playboy. No, I'm just kidding. It was Staples, right? So it was a Staples meeting of the store managers and pretty big meeting. One of the first ones they'd done in a while. So there was a little bit writing on it for them. And they had brought us in to do some interstitial scenes. Right, and and then they would they would have a speaker come on afterwards and speak to that issue that was brought up. So
now, were you prompted with the issue that they're going to?
Yeah, absolutely. So we weren't improvising for this one. We had scripted scenes that we were doing, but it mirrored what they were going through in order to bring the topic up in a fun way, in a humorous way, but it put a mirror to we've got this issue of communication or we've got this issue of procurement, whatever it was, right? So, so we're backstage, and it's literally one of these things where we're about to go out. There's a video. Backstage manager comes up and goes, "Okay, we're going to run this video. It goes for 5 minutes, and then lights will come up, and we'll send you out." Okay? Yep. Okay. Great. And remember, there's an interstitial. There's a quick music bump right after the video for you guys to make it on stage. But it's a big stage, so move out there quick. Got it. Right. Good note. So he literally walks away, right, okay. So when one of the guys walked out. All he said was, it's a big stage, go fast. So he walked out there, and now he's out there, and on the two screens, right, the video is playing. Right. But he's out there stirring his coffee, as if he's got a coffee. He's miming for the scene we're about to do. And we all, come here. Like, so now what do? Do we leave him out there all by himself, right?
This is one of your acting partners.
This is one of our talent, one of our crew, one of the actors. And so do we leave him out there all by himself for the next 5 minutes? Does someone go out and get him? Or do we all go out, assume our initial starting positions, and just mime some business until the lights come up and we're ready to go? So it happened in a heartbeat where it was, we looked at him and then we all looked at each other. And then we all walked out there and took our positions. It was like, we're going to support no matter what happens. And it's funny because he's out there and he's actually facing the audience down at the lip of the stage, and he's stirring his coffee. And at one point, he realizes he's really messed up. He's come out too early, and I jumped it. And so he's standing out there stirring the coffee. And he's like, "What do I do? What do I do?" I'm just gonna go back out. And he turns around and he sees all of us miming our work. Mm-hmm. And then he just stops and he stands there with his back to the audience and he continues stirring his pretend mime coffee. Lights eventually come up and we begin the scene as if that was the idea all along, was us to be on stage having this thing before as the video plays and everything else. He said when we came off of that, we're all giving him all sorts of crap, right? Because it's like, come on, dude. And he said, the moment I turned around was the most amazing moment I've ever had on stage. to see all of you there and to know that you knew what was up. You knew I messed up, but you came out.
You had his back.
Yeah. And if you can live in that kind of environment, if you can work in that kind of environment, you're going to swing from the trapeze and see what you can get. You're going to try things that are out there that are, yeah, I don't know if this is going to work or not, but let's try it and see if, and you'll discover these amazing things. Not that you're not already coming up with them, but how many more are you willing to try to obtain, to create, to build, if you know that the only thing that's going to happen is like, oh, that's a good try. Not live in front of the audience necessarily,
right.
but as improvisers, you know, when we do an improv show, when that is the specific ask, then we will do that. Then we will kind of swing out and see what we could grab out there, knowing that if we lose grasp, we don't need a safety net. We've got the entire team who's going to catch us and gently put us back down.
Yeah, and you're going to finish the scene and be successful in it.
Exactly, exactly.
Well, I'm curious how you look at your 11-child family, and how did that bring you to the improv? How did that train you? Oh,
I think that was some of the best training I've ever had for improvisation. First off, I came up in stand-up comedy, and I went to Second City, and I worked there with folks like Steve Carell and Stephen Colbert, Tina Fey, Amy Poehler. And I don't say those just to drop names, although I sound awesome. But I mean, that's the caliber of comedy that I was working with, right? Shoulder to shoulder type of thing. So it's like, these aren't just...
It's the training ground.
Kids are putting on a show. These are brilliant comedians that I had the opportunity to work with, learn from, and be on stage with. But my background coming into it from my family was that every one of my family could have gotten on stage with them. If they had wanted to, any one of them could have done the exact same thing because they were that fast, that funny. And there was never a thought of, you couldn't just say something. You had to be able to back it up. You had to be able to...
You had to contribute.
Yeah. And in order to be a part of that, you have to be confident. And in order to do improvisation, you have to have some level of confidence in what's going to come out of my mouth is going to work. That idea of support, I mean, it's family, so we're all, you know, everybody's in the mix, and there's always
you're not out there to cut each other's legs off.
Right, exactly, and or if we do, we're also
it's got to be funny.
Taping back on later on, right? But it was that kind of environment where it was like we're gonna push and test each other, but at the end of the day, we're all on the same team, and we all want the best for each other as well, and that lent itself seamlessly to the idea of improv. For me. And so it's funny because having a big family like that, even back in that day, was relatively rare. I mean, there were more of them around, right?
There are now, sure.
But like at Second City, what was funny, Stephen Colbert comes from a family of 11. There was another guy, Tim O'Malley, comes from a family of 10. There was me. There were other families of 7, families of 8. So you had folks who had grown up in a similar thing, and just like, oh yeah, this is a natural extension of what I understand family to be, which is we get to play around, we get to mess with each other, but at the end of the day, we love each other, and we're going to support each other and have each other's back. And so it was a pre-training ground for me.
So fast forward some number of years, and now we've got corporate shows that are using that method, either improv or ensemble actors doing scenes. And then it changes around to PowerPoint parades and less of that. Then it changes around to an MC kind of gig. And you seem to have mastered all of those art forms.
So I always looked at what everybody was doing on any given production. And I always thought to myself, that looks interesting. I was always curious. So I was like, that looks interesting. When I looked at the writers, right? At Second City, you learned how to improvise, but you also learned how to write.
Sure.
So you were a writer, a performer, and an improviser.
No, writing, is it just prompts? and kickoffs, or are you actually writing scenes?
You're writing entire scenes.
Okay.
Yeah. So what would happen is to build a scene, you would start with an idea, either from the audience or that you came up with. You'd improvise it, and then rarely was it a finished product from that, right? So you would take the idea, and now you would start writing it out. What are the beats of it? What are the what's the blow?
You're going to do sketches and you're going to do scenes.
Absolutely, right? Very SNL at that point. And then it was sort of like, okay, so you learned how to write. You learned the construction of a scene, which was, incredible training to begin with. And you learned how to get out of it. You learned how to create a blow, create the out, right? The blackout.
Find the period.
Yes, exactly. And so then I got that, and then I would see the director, and I was like, well, now that looks interesting. That's a pretty cool gig to be able to direct as well. So I started directing. And then they really started trying to open up the communications arm of Second City, which was the corporate sort of division, right? Serving corporate clients. And I was like, well, now that's interesting. How does that work? And my dad was an entrepreneur, and he had his own business. He had a couple of his own businesses, and he was very successful at it. So I had always seen him as an entrepreneur and like, okay, how does this business stuff work? And then started working as a creative director. So now I'm a writer, director, creative director. And now I'm not only working with clients, I'm working with production companies who are hiring us to work with clients. And I'm like, well, okay, how's the whole production company thing work? What is that gig? And just by sheer curiosity of looking to see how each role worked within this realm that's great, this Broadway level show that we create, right? In a matter of a week, we build, rehearse, put on, and break down in a matter of a week.
It's Little Rascals on steroids.
It is. It totally is. And so the speed of that and the application of that level of talent on a high wire with no net was fascinating. It just, what a rush when you actually pull it off and then actually make it good and make it better and do all of these things. So yeah, I really did. When I left Second City, it was funny. There were two gentlemen. Mark Owen.
Sure, I know Mark.
Yeah, and Tony Lorenz.
Sure.
And so the two of them, executive producers, right, in the industry, and so both of them separately had said to me, "Listen, when you leave Second City, let us know, because we'll still use you. I mean, because now you do all of these things."
Sure.
And I had become really proficient at video as well. It started really concentrating on, okay, what are camera angles? What is lighting? What is sound? What is the idea of all of this? And so they both said, and I was like, yeah, thank you very much. I'm bound to be taken by SNL.
Right. Yeah. Any day, the phone's going to ring.
This trajectory's pretty set.
Right.
So thank you. But so in a couple of months, I called them. And they kept me going for just a couple of years of saying, okay, we've got this event, this meetings, can you do this? Can you do this? Now, my original startup was in stand-up, right? So the MC work was an extension of that with a slight difference. And this is a big mistake that I think a lot of comedians make. A stand-up's goal on stage is to get a laugh. Sure. Is to get the audience to laugh at his ideas, his thoughts.
Set it up.
Whatever that is, yeah. That's not the job of an MC. The job of an MC is to create the excitement around what's going to be talked about. Right. Be the red thread through the entire thing, right? Hold it together. Be the human highlighter. And so that's a shift a lot of stand-ups don't make when they're MCing a show. They bring that same sensibility from when they're at Zanies to the stage of the corporate show. Whereas I'm going to tell some jokes and then I'll introduce the next speaker. It's like, that's not what you're doing. That doesn't mean you can't be funny, but you have to be funny in service to.
You have to be funny in context to what you're doing.
Exactly. And I think in not just in context, but in service to it. It has to support that goal. And that's a different kind of comedy. That's recognizing the vulnerability without making fun of it. So if you make fun of that, you're effectively making fun of everybody in the audience. If you have fun with it and say, this is actually something I'm kind of a little nervous about, everybody laughs because it's a universal truth.
You have to make yourself one of them.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
yet you have to gather them into it.
Right, 100%. Because then they appreciate you. Then they feel like, oh, I as an audience member have a voice on stage.
Right. You're just like them.
Yeah, 100%. And so that means I don't have to be smarter than anybody in the room. I don't have to be more knowledgeable. I just have to be just like the audience, which is, I need this to happen. I'm looking for this. And boy, it'd be nice if these people said something about this.
Right.
And if I can show that and demonstrate that sort of position, the audience appreciates every time I walk on stage.
Is it still working in this day of more information-based shows that aren't booked, that aren't real acting? There's no singing, there's no dancing. Corporate people just want to get a message out. Does that still work today?
Yeah, I think even more so, because what we've taken away, and the book shows were so, I mean, that was full musical. I mean, you're talking Broadway. Now you're talking full musical Broadway,
sure.
Right? So I think it's even more critical now, because what we're missing, taking that away, we take a little bit of the entertainment away, but we take away the humanity. And that's the connection piece. You can be up there and throw as much data at somebody as humanly possible. The thing is, humans don't make decisions based on data. We make decisions based on emotion.
Sure.
And emotion is made from the connection that's made. Mm-hmm. By having an MC up on stage, or even the keynote speaker up on stage, those moments are meant to connect so that the audience is open to the data and the rationalization of, here's why we're making this change, or here's why we're doing this, now we're bringing this system in.
And here's the guy to explain it to you.
Yeah.
And he's going to explain it to me too. Please welcome.
And humanize, yeah, exactly. And humanize that path to, okay, well, I guess that makes sense. Well, let's find out how that's going to work. So here's the guy who's going to explain it. You know, not in a condescending way either, because one of the things I always learned in improv, getting back to the book a minute, Josephine Forsberg, the main character in the book, is based on Josephine Forsberg, who basically codified how to teach improvisation to people who don't know it. And her thing was treat the audience as smart as or smarter than you are. Always have them up here, right? And I always do that. I always think they're as smart as or smarter than I am. I don't have to condescend to them. I don't have to talk down to them. I don't have to explain anything to them. Collectively, they're a heck of a lot smarter than I am. Let's have some fun with that. You know, and so when I'm having fun, all of a sudden it becomes a playground. Everybody's having fun. Okay, now I can listen to this.
Well, your whole book is about a playground and about going back to childhood and the fun that you had, and take away the rules and let's start to play.
Right.
And let's play as adults. Let's talk. Let's have fun. Let's try something new.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. Because, and it's not just, so I got into an area here, which was when I wrote that book, I started feeling a little bit like, okay, I see when some people bring up this idea of playing as an adult, right? They're like, okay, we'll play. It's very warm and it's, you know, let's be children. I don't want us to be children, right?
No.
I want us to have the attributes and be open of trying stuff like a child. If it breaks, great. How does it work? Let's put it back together. That curiosity. That's what drives us to iterative innovation. So I got certified in design thinking. When I started getting into this, I thought, I want to know who's doing it best, who's doing it brightest, and what they're doing. So I went to MIT, I went to Harvard, and I went to Stanford, and I got certified at all three of them to find out what does it mean to be innovative. And what I found was it all comes back to these same rules to create that environment for thinking, divergent thinking, which is very big, very broad, very let's try everything, into convergent thinking. All right, let's start winnowing it down to the very best ideas, but let's start with this human-centered design. How do we really need this to be used, and what's the actual problem? A lot of people look at it, well, we're shipping 30% less. Those people should be working harder. Wait a minute. Why are we shipping 30%? What's the first domino that fell in that line that led to that?
Right.
So instead of break fix, it's, all right, let's listen to understand what's actually going on here. And when you go back to that, well, we've got a friction point with the manufacturing line, can't box the new product because our system isn't made for it. if we can rebuild that system, which is incredibly less expensive to put that alternating part in, we can ship just as fast as we were. In fact, we'll pick up speed. Oh, that's a better solution than let's force these people to work faster when we don't have all the information yet. That's the kind of play that I'm talking about.
Finding the issue without blaming the issue.
Right. Yes, right. Without indicting, without judgment.
Right.
Right? So that's the kind of thing that when I say let's build the playground, right? That's that environmental, psychological safety. But the other thing I want to do is I want to lower the stakes. At no point when a kid is playing in a playground are they sitting there going, it's funny, I ran the monkey bars 30% faster last time. I think if I do the hand-over-hand method, no, they're doing it and they're saying, I bet I could do that faster. I wonder how I could make it through the whole jungle gym faster, right? That's the kind of thinking, because when we lower the stakes, we try a lot more. That's how we raise our game. Because now we've got the functional expertise and experience of doing it, of trying it, like here's what works, here's what doesn't work, that we can apply in order to create faster.
Is that hard to get across to an audience from a stage? What's the challenge in that?
It is, because it can be. When people hear the word play, immediately 40% of the people think it doesn't have value. Right? And so what I tend to do is I want them to experience it. And so I do a couple of exercises from stage that they take 2 minutes, literally 2 exercises back to back, that, and I did one of them in my TED Talk, that forces them to do things how they normally do them. And then I ask them questions about that. And so I can share what it is. Basically, I tell people, all right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to travel forward in time 1 year. And I want you to turn to a partner and list 3 things that you accomplished in that year. Okay?
The future year.
The future year. So you will have said, I did this because we are now 1 year from today. We're wearing the same clothes. We're in the same place. It's a little weird, but let's go with it. And you're going to tell your partner what you did, and they're going to tell you what they did. 3 things. If you can't come up with 3, just one's fine. But 3 things that you accomplished in that year. So then I give them 2 minutes to do that. And inevitably, they say things like, I hit my number, or I completed this project, or we had a successful, whatever, launch. There's always one person who got their basement bathroom done, refinished.
Sure.
In every group, there's somebody who's like, that has been on my mind for 20 years, and I got it done.
Got it done.
And so I'm like, great, fantastic. I have them throw out a lot of things that they accomplished. Some people travel, some people do, all the different things. So I said, fantastic. How many of you won the lottery? Nobody raises their hand. Okay, that's all right. No big deal. That's fine. No big deal. How many of you wrote the story of your life, starred in the movie, and then won an Oscar for your performance?
Nobody.
Nobody. Why not? All I said was that we time traveled 1 year into the future. And the parameters you put on that were the same parameters that you use every day. So when you were faced with the ability to time travel, you chose to make your number. That's what you achieved. Typically, the audience at this point is sitting there going, all right, I want to do it again.
Yeah,
right?
underachieved.
Yeah, exactly. Now all of a sudden I realize, wait, the game is way bigger than I'm thinking about it. Well, that's true in real life too. The game is way bigger than any of us think about it. So we have to widen our view in order to really grasp what we're capable of doing. So then I say, okay, fine. So let's do this. I want you to plan a party. New Year's Eve party. The only rule is that you have to say yes and at the beginning of each sentence. So you accept each other's opinion or idea. So you have to say yes and I want you to come up with the music act, where it's going to be. I want to hear, so all of this. Give them 2 minutes to do that. Now all of a sudden, the party takes place on Mars. Elvis and Prince are the main headliners. We find out that Mars is full of champagne, and you just have to tap in order to get your drink. And all of these creative ideas come out of nowhere, right? And I say, so what was the difference? A moment ago, we time traveled and you put parameters on yourself. When I said there are no parameters and said just yes and each other, what happened? Well, I knew they were going to say yes, so I could say whatever I wanted. Right. Well, and then so-and-so said this, so I said this, and I said this. And all of a sudden, you're building on ideas, and you've got these incredible, ideas. And I'm not saying, great, that's what we'll do, and that will work, that we can have this party on Mars. But I am saying that process leads to much better ideas, a much better field of ideas.
You're getting ideas.
Yeah.
You're widening their scope.
And playing with it.
Right.
And it's that mindset that enables you to really think outside the box. But really what you're doing is you're just broadening your view.
Right.
And when you can do that, that's when you really come up with some great ideas that then can be turned into actionable innovation.
Innovation of AI coming in today is either plays right into it or replaces it entirely. I'm not sure which it is.
I personally believe, and where I've kind of been listening to the conversations and some of the smarter people who are talking about it, they're all thinking of it as a tool. It is an incredible tool.
Right.
But the internet is a tool. Did it displace some work? Yes, absolutely. Sure. Did email displace some envelope makers? Absolutely. Didn't get rid of them. And everybody adapted. AI is a tool. It will displace some roles. But for most roles, the goal here is to learn how to use it. And the email and the envelope thing, so that's what my dad did, is he sold envelopes.
Okay.
And printed them. And so when email came in, I saw firsthand, witnessed this shrinking of an industry and what they did to survive it, which was swing to the direct marketing, who kept on going. Their volumes didn't reduce. They kept on mailing stuff out, hard physical mail. So they had to adapt in order to survive. And that's the same, in my view, with AI. Yes, you have to learn how to use it. But even AI is changing every 6 months. It's not the same AI that we were using even 6 months ago.
Do you substitute improv for AI?
In what way?
Is it the same concept? Because you can prompt an AI response and get 10 responses.
Right.
You can prompt an improv session the same way.
Yeah, I do. I use AI as a writing partner a lot. Mm-hmm. And I will say, so I'm working on this idea. What are some alternatives that I'm not seeing? Or give me some examples of people who have achieved this or who have done that, and it'll come back with these examples, and it's that's a really good one. Let's explore that one. Let's do some deep research on this. Now I've got all the information, again, using it as a tool.
Sure.
And then I translate it.
Learning how
I'm
to
the
use
filter.
it as a tool.
Yeah, exactly.
But you have to apply your human thoughts to make it work.
Yeah.
AI is not always very funny.
And it kind of isn't. It hasn't figured out the curveball yet.
Right.
Yeah. So,
let alone how to hit it.
Yeah, exactly. But it's a great meat and potatoes vehicle right now. Mm-hmm. And deep, the Perplexity is getting really great at the deep research, and even ChatGPT 5.0 is really becoming great at it as well. At some point it might be good enough, but the language it uses and how it wants to talk to people is missing that connection.
Right. Okay.
Anything, if you read something, 9 times out of 10 you could tell that's AI.
I'd like to think I could, yeah.
I think you get a vibe. I think you may not be able to tell where it's from, and it will get better. But right now it is, okay, I can tell that's not a human connecting with me.
I heard a story the other day on the radio about a study of AI responses. And when they learned that the AI response came from a poorly trained data source versus a highly intelligent, resourceful data source, the results are huge difference.
Yeah, right.
And so it depends on in humans, it depends on the experience, where your training was, what did you learn, your family.
Right.
So I think all of that still weaves together, and poor AI is poor AI. Bad training is bad training. You have to go back to the source.
Yeah. Garbage in, garbage out. Right. And so that's in my opinion, that's a function of everything we've ever seen. Right. Every tool, it gets better. It's iterative. But in our heads, collectively, as a society, we've got the idea of AI that comes from the movies and the books and Isaac Asimov of already being up here.
Right.
It's nowhere near up here, right? It is still, nascent in its growth pattern. But we think of it, AI. It's like, no, it's not there. And not 100% sure it'll get to this imaginary place of where we have it in science fiction. We don't know that it's going to be able to, we're going to get flying cars. Right? Mm-hmm. We all thought flying cars, it's got to come along.
We should have flying cars by now.
It's 2025. It's like, no. And when you start thinking of all the things that flying cars, the traffic, the bad drivers, do you want them up in the air? It's the last thing I want.
Right.
So that's the kind of thing that we don't give any credence to. We just keep thinking, it's going to take over everything. It really isn't. It's really going to be a tool. It'll get better and better as a tool, but we're going to be able to focus where that tool is used and how it's used. And if you really want to stay relevant, this is one you have to learn how to use and be good at, Just like the internet was. We all learned how to use before. We
all learned email. We all learned how to browse. We all learned all the good and the bad of it.
Yep, exactly.
All right, so how is it going to be applied in where we find our market in the corporate world?
I think in a couple of different ways. I think, and I'm by no means an expert in AI. However, it's certainly very useful in creating the language and understanding the lexicon of a given vertical or industry. And by that, I mean, I literally just got an inquiry from the airline industry. Like, this is cool. Mm-hmm. I don't know anything about the airline industry.
All right.
I mean, I fly planes, sure, but what are they facing right now? Let's find out.
Right.
Let's have a conversation with AI and have them do the deep research and then coalesce. Well, it seems like these are the top 5 issues and challenges that air travel is facing at the time, at this time. And these are the ones that are a little further out. Wow, that's interesting. Now, I don't just take that as gospel, right?
No.
But in terms of having that conversation with that potential client and developing business development, it's like, so I read some stuff that said this and this are a big issue for you. Huge issues for us, right? So now I've got a little bit of a track to start finding out more from the experience side of it. Mm-hmm. I've got the written side, I've got the experience side. The other area I think that AI can play a pretty good role is in the convergence of content, right? Bringing all of that content together. Now, I would always do a data dive. As a creative director, we'd go into a client and it would be, okay, well, we're having our national sales meeting or we're launching this drug and we want to do this, we need to get these points across and this is what we need to do. Okay, why? What are you trying to achieve? What's the goal of this? Oh, well, we want to hit this goal. Okay, well, why that goal? And do the 5 whys or do whatever it is to really find out, well, what's preventing you to do that? Now, well, we don't have the market share. We don't have, whatever those reasons are, that rationale. AI is incredible at hearing all of this stuff and saying, well, that means this. And now you've got a through line that you can see. Sometimes digging for that through line was challenging, right?
Sure it was. That's a lot of research.
It's a ton. And you would do it because you wanted to be the very best.
Sure. Well, you want to bring that to the stage. You want to bring that to the audience. You want to bring that to your ability to communicate.
Right. Exactly. And if you have a tool that can do that in a really efficient way, and then you hold it up to them and go, is this accurate? Well, assists, it
Again,
helps.
it's a tool.
It's a tool.
It has to be a tool.
Yeah.
And like you said, it has to be learned how to manage it, how to make it work for you, how to develop it.
Yeah.
So that it develops you. Well, this has been an adventure. So yes, and to more of this.
There we go. Absolutely.
And I appreciate you coming by.
Oh, this was great,
Thank you very
Randy.
much.
Yeah, absolutely. My pleasure.